Hello everyone. Today I would like to make some kind of a tutorial or an example of how you could use Anki to make study cards for the student advocates project. The idea is to have students help in preparing study material for each other. So far I have made lectures 1 and 2 and some labs in machine learning, and I requested people to help in joining and collaborating with this, but so far there hasn't been that much response. So I would like to make some kind of example video of how I make these cards, so probably people would help later. So I will start from the third lecture because I've already made 1 and 2, and I will go part by part and see how we can do it. I will also open Anki. I will not show how to install Anki, it's not that hard. And usually it syncs because I have multiple decks here for different subjects. And let's go to machine learning. I will do add. One of the things I do when I'm adding like cards, I specify the lecture so I can sort them out later. It will become helpful when you would like to export. I will not go through the whole lecture. I'll just go through some slides to see what we can do. So as you can see here, you have basically 4, and I have this extra one. It's just an extension. You have basic and reversed, basic optional reversed card, and the close. Usually I either use basic, optional, reverse card, and the close. So let's just stick with basic for now. As you can see, you have front, back, and add reverse. We will see how to use it. So lecture 3, machine learning, it's a recap. We will not use it. Basically what we're trying to do is extract the useful information from the lecture that could probably be used on a test. The main idea is that a lot of tests, maybe not specifically in machine learning, but especially in other subjects, the tests are mainly focused on memory. You just need to memorize a lot of stuff and go, and you'll probably get a good mark. So here we're trying to extract the memorizable items from this lecture. So the objectives, we don't need to really remember any of these. This is a recall from last class, so probably it will be in the second lecture, so we don't need to do it again. And here we come to the first part, like first piece of information, and it's about linear models. For example, here it's saying linear models are relatively simple to describe and implement. That's okay, but it's not really useful. I don't believe that the professor or like the TAs would ask us about this piece of information, but they might ask us about having advantages over other approaches. In this case, linear model has more advantage when it comes to interpretation and inference. So we can use this in a question answer format when we say, like, what I usually do is I just copy the title of the slide, because usually each slide has a title in the beginning, and I copy the back, and then I edit. So for example, they have advantages over the other approaches, and I can just paste linear model advantages, and I don't need any of that. I don't even need OR. Like, I'm trying to minimize the information as much as possible. So linear models advantages, interpretation and inference. I don't think it's really useful to have the opposite. So what will happen is it will ask, like the Anki will ask us linear model advantages, and it will wait for us to think about it, see if it's good or not. And it can also ask us the reverse, like it will just show interpretation and inference and wait for us to say linear models advantages. And I don't think that's a good idea for now, so I'll just add it as it is. Next slide. Then why do we need extensions? Okay, like same step, take the title, paste it, take the content and paste it. And now we can see how we can deal with this. then why do we need extensions? On its own, if you get the question, why do we need extensions, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You need more context. So what I usually do is I just add the context in brackets. So what's the main problem? Like, what's the main piece of information is that assumptions are violated. And examples of these assumptions are additive and linear. If you've read the slides before, if you just read this, you might be confused. But if you have reviewed the slides before and you're trying just to remember it, then this should probably be enough. So also, I don't like having ors because additive or independence, I think it's just enough to have additive, and you should understand that additive means independence. So this is also it. I don't think that they will give us additive and linear. It could be a question like, why do we have extensions? No, I mean, how can you deal with the linear model being having problems with additive and linear situations in the real world? And you can reply, we use extensions. And in this case, I will probably add the reverse. To add the reverse, you just type anything here. I just type A. You can, if it's just not null, it will have the reverse of it in the cards. And then I add. This is an example of a noisy car. I don't think it's particularly useful here, so we'll skip it. Interactions, again, same step. Copy, paste. Copy, paste. One way of extending this model is to allow for interaction effects. Okay. Extend this model to allow for. Okay, this model should be the linear model. And okay, one way of extending linear model. So I guess I can take this, paste it here, include a third. Okay, in this case, I think it would be better to have a close type of card. So here, the close kind of card, I will just do it and then we can see how it works. One way of extending linear model to allow for interaction effects is to include a third predictor called an interaction term. So maybe we can omit this part and have the program ask us. One way of extended X is to allow for interaction terms. In this case, I will use Control-Shift-C. You can just right-click. You can use close by pressing here, but I just use the shortcut Control-Shift-C. And now this will be close one. I will show you how it will work in the end. And another part of information that we can hide is to include a third predictor. Is 2 and then called an interaction term. Okay. I will show you how this will work. So I will add it and then I will go to Anki. I'll browse. I'll go to lecture 3. We have also distributed system lecture 3, so I will specify exactly that I want machine learning lecture 3. And I will preview this card. So this card here, I can preview it. So this is how it will look like. One way of extending the model to allow for interaction effects is to something called something. And in this case, so to be, and when I press space, well, I mean like show it, this is what will appear. And on the other hand, you can have one way of extending something to allow for interaction effects is to include a third predictor. So in this case, it would be a linear model. So, and also you can edit it here. So for example, it's not linear model, it's linear models. And you can edit it here. You don't need to add it again or delete it. And that's useful. Let's do a couple more, and then we can see how we can export it. Finding interaction terms. I think we can just use it as it is. Like change the type to basic and reverse, finding interaction terms. I can just copy it and paste it. Domain knowledge. Automatic search. Okay, search combinations, domain knowledge. You don't really need all of these words automatic search over all combinations, all possible combinations. If you have search combinations, you will probably be able to extrapolate from it to give an answer. You just need to remember the piece of information, and then you can put it in your own words in the exam. And we will add it. I don't think we need reverse here. This is when it comes to more detailed example. For example, here's an example of a specific case of TVs and sales and radios. I'm not sure we need it here. I don't think it will be particularly useful. Yeah, synergy. Here it might be a bit useful because we had an example of it in a quiz, I believe, about interpreting this value as an increase of effectiveness, but I'm still hesitant to add it. Okay, one thing we can do is to, and this is something I wanted to add, having the snipping tool. I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what you can use on Mac, but for example on Windows, it comes pre-installed. You just type snipping tool, use new. I will take a screen, not a screenshot, it's not a full screen, it's just this part. I will go to Anki, I will paste it, and then we can interpret B3 as, actually we can do it as a close. So as lectures. So if I add it, and then I go to browse to see it, I think I need to refresh. So lecture 3, and I preview it. You will get the picture, and you get the question we can interpret B3 as, and you can see it here. Okay, I think that's enough for showcasing how it could work. Now I want to show how you can export it. So as we said, I specify which cards exactly. Like there's a lot of cards. Like whole collection is like more than 1,000 cards now, because there's stuff for distributed systems, software architecture. And what I can do is I can choose exactly that I want lecture 3 from machine learning. I'm just pressing Control to have multiple selectors. I will select all of them. What I do, and you can do something else, but what I do is I take all of them and I change the deck. Currently they're in the machine learning deck. I change them to the to export deck. I'll move cards, and then I will go to Anki, the main page. The UI is not that beautiful, but it gets the job done. I go to export. I will export the Anki deck package. I will not export all decks. I'll only export the deck to export. I don't need, including scheduling information means it will include the how my progress is going when I'm studying these cards, but I don't, it's only for me, so I don't need to share it. And include media, yes, because I have a photo in it and I would like it to be there. So when I export, I select, in this case I will export to lectures. I will export as lecture 3. Of course not complete, but I'm just showing how it's done. And then I don't think I need to show how to make a pull request to add it to this GitHub repository. If you need help, you can ask me, but overall it should be easy. And to show you how you would study it, you would import it. Like I would go to Dex, import lecture 3. It's saying that it's already found in my collections, so they're skipped. That's okay, that's fine. So when I want to study them, I will say study now, and then it will begin asking me. I should try to remember the answer, linear models advantages. When I do, I will press space, or I will just say press show answer, and then it will ask me, is it again good or easy? If I could remember it easily, it will assume that I already know it. I don't really need to check about it. It doesn't need to check that I know it, and so it will not appear as often. If it's if I say again, it will show it to me again within 2 or 4 minutes, so I can practice it more. It's very simple, it's very useful. The main idea is that you don't waste any time while studying, because you only study what you need to study, and whatever you've studied enough, you will not see it as much. So for example, I say I've done it good, check with me in like 15 minutes, meaning that I almost got it, I just need to make sure that I really got it. Here's another question. Like, then why do we need extensions in linear? Like, this is maybe a bit too long. Maybe we can just have it as why extensions. It will convey the same questions. It might not sound as poetic, but it will do the job. And the main idea is not to sound poetic when you're memorizing. You just need the minimum amount of data to be able to answer the questions. So why extensions? Like what I did is press edit and then change it. And the best thing is that, for example, hopefully somebody will contribute and upload a lecture or a labs, like a deck for labs or lectures. And what you could do is, when you're going through them, maybe they missed something, maybe they copied something wrong. You can just edit here and then export it again, and then you can make a commit with the updated version. I guess that's all for now. I hope that some of you are now encouraged to join. We have the exams, like today is the 6th, and exams are less than a month away. So I hope we can do this together so that we can spend less time, like we already have a lot of projects, and I hope that by doing this we will spend less time studying and more time focusing on doing useful things, I guess. Okay, I hope that this wasn't too long, and yeah.